After the incident, Ushio turned into a monster. Ushio and Tora's adventures continue. The scene shows Ushio and Tora arrived in the cave and found a small shrine. Upon seeing the shrine, the Holy Spear activated and changed Ushio's form. Tora said that there was a piece of Hakumen no Mono's body inside the shrine. When they enter the shrine, a piece of Hakumen no Mono's body attacks Ushio when he gets close. Tora spouted fire in another direction because he felt someone was there. Then a yokai named Tokisaka appears there. He comes to explain the legend of the Holy Spear because he can turn back time. He tells that 850 years ago, yokai merged with humans to expel Hakumen no Mono during the war. Hakumen no Mono escapes by scattering pieces of his body all over Japan. However, the yokai managed to destroy a part of Hakumen no Mono's body, and now all that's left are the pieces in the shrine. The yokai didn't destroy Hakumen no Mono's largest body part there because only the Holy Spear could destroy it. They have been looking for the whereabouts of the spear, but no one has been able to find it, until the humans gathered before the cave and thought of a way to get the spear. Juime, who was at the time in front of the cave, decided that she and all her descendants would guard and lock the piece with her kekai until the spear was found. When another monk asks who Juime really is, she replies that she is the reincarnation of the spearmaker's sister. Meanwhile, Tokisaka invites Ushio and Tora through a portal to return to the past in China. Once there, the spear disappeared and Tokisaka explained that the spear had not yet been made at that time. Tokisaka left them there and would pick them up when the time came. Ushio and Tora meet a young Juime there and she looks similar to Mayuko. They got acquainted, but Tora felt evil yokai was around them. Then several yokai appeared who immediately attacked them, but Tora and Ushio managed to defeat them. Juime couldn't see Tora at that time, so she thought that Ushio himself beat the yokai. As a thank you, Juime invites Ushio to go to her house. Ushio then met Juime's mother and she told him about Hakumen no Mono who appeared there after 500 years of disappearance. The emperor then saw Hakumen no Mono in the form of a woman on a pillar, which made the frightened emperor kill all his concubines. The emperor ordered all the blacksmiths there to create weapons to destroy Hakumen no Mono. It turned out that Juime's father was one of the blacksmiths who received the emperor's orders. Then the older brother named Giryo came home after practicing making a powerful sword. The next day, Juime tells Ushio that her family used to be a holy monks and a maker of weapons for the empire. One day their brother tried to kill the emperor until he was sentenced to death along with his entire family. Luckily, the small Juime family was freed but had to leave the empire. That was why Juime's father was desperately trying to make weapons for the emperor even though it had failed until then. Giryo said that he had a method he learned from other countries even though that method used black magic. He said to make the sword needed female hair, so his mother cut her hair to give to him. His mother's hair was mixed with iron and then forged by Giryo and his father to create a sword. On the day of the handover of the sword arrived, all the blacksmiths brought their own swords, but the emperor only chose one holy sword. Ushio then entered the palace feeling confused by the change in Tora's attitude. It turned out that Hakumen no Mono was there disguised as the king's concubine, and then she showed his true form. Hakumen no Mono instantly slaughtered many people there, including the emperor. The blacksmiths unite using their swords, but Hakumen no Mono kills them all, including Juime's father, whose sword is destroyed in the hands of Hakumen no Mono. Hakumen no Mono tries to attack Juime and her family, but Ushio jumps in to save them. Unfortunately, Juime's mother couldn't be saved. Ushio was angry and immediately took a spear to fight Hakumen no Mono, but his body couldn't move when he looked at Hakumen no Mono's face from close range, so he almost died. Luckily, Tora saved him. Then Hakumen no Mono flew and spewed fire throughout the area, killing many people, after which he immediately left. After the massacre, Ushio brought Juime back to her house. Juime, who had just woken up, immediately asked her parents' whereabouts. Ushio, who felt sad, immediately left the room and heard someone hitting something. It turned out to be the sound of Giryo trying to crush his own hand. He was very disappointed that the swords they forged couldn't fight Hakumen no Mono. When Giryo was about to hit his hand again, Ushio stopped him and said that he would be able to create a weapon against Hakumen no Mono and asked him to keep going. Hearing Ushio's words, Giryo seemed a little calm. He said he still has one more method to make weapons using black magic. Giryo tells a story that 100 years ago, an emperor ordered a man to make a big bell, but the man always failed no matter how many times he tried. Then he used black magic by throwing his daughter into the bell furnace. After that, he created a large bell that, when exposed to light, would emit 7 colors. Even when rung, the bell can be heard from thousands of miles. But Giryo can't do the method at the expense of his own family because he only has Juime now. Without them realizing that Juime had overheard their conversation and she was willing to sacrifice herself by plunging into the iron-making furnace. She says the most important thing is that Giryo can make weapons to defeat Hakumen no Mono, and then Juime is killed. Kiryu, who had just lost his sister, began to forge the weapon while bleeding from his hands and eyes. He says that he is currently a demon because he wants Juime dead so he can create a weapon to defeat Hakumen no Mono. Kiryu continued to forge the weapon while imagining Juime. He called Ushio and said he had decided to make a spear, and one day, he wanted to fight with Ushio to fight Hakumen no Mono. He then said goodbye, and then the holy spear was created. Juime became the tip while Kiryu became the hilt. After the spear was created, it suddenly disappeared somewhere. Juime's spirit from the future then came and said she should have told the history of the spear and told who her mother really was. Soon after that, Tokisaka came to take them to the next place. They were brought to a place where the spear was. It turned out that the spear went looking for Hakumen no Mono to kill him, but the spear couldn't find him, so it killed every yokai in front of it. Since then, the spear has been called the spear that kills the yokai, whereas originally, the spear was created only to kill Hakumen no Mono. The yokai in China at that time joined forces to capture the spear. Then they formed a thread to form a red cloth that sealed the spear in a mountain, until a man came to release the seal. Juime is worried because Giryu's spirit still resides in the spear and cannot go to heaven before Hakumen no Mono dies. Then Juime decided to reincarnate and was born in Japan because Hakumen no Mono had gone to Japan at that time. Juime was born into the first generation Oyakume named Yuki. She tells the story of when she fought Hakumen no Mono in Japan with the yokai and other monks. After Hakumen no Mono weakened, he fled to an ocean where there was a pillar supporting Japan. So the body pieces of Hakumen no Mono in the cave are only a small part, and the main body is on the bottom of the Japanese sea. At that time, Juime and the yokai continued to chase Hakumen no Mono into the ocean. As they faced off, Hakumen no Mono said if Juime destroyed that place, then the entire island of Japan would be sunk. The yokai arrived and wanted to kill Hakumen no Mono, but they could endanger the island of Japan, so Juime made Kekai to protect him. That was the reason the yokai protected where Hakumen no Mono was. After Yuki runs out of energy to take care of her Kekai, she looks for a successor who becomes the second Oyakume from her lineage named Hizaki Sumako, who is Ushio's mother. Sumako is still guarding the Kekai at the bottom of the sea. Ushio asked if his mother had been in the sea all this time and how she could give birth to him. Juime says that one day, Sumako dreamed that she would marry a man. In her dream, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son who would become the heir to the Holy Spear. Because Juime knows that Sumako's dream will come true, she then allows Sumako to go to the mainland for 2 years. Tokisaka then picked them up to return. Juime says if the war hasn't happened, then Ushio can enjoy his life. After Tokisaka and Juime left, the spear returned to Ushio again. The scene shifted to the mountains where the spear was sealed. There was a woman who wanted to take the red cloth. Then an old yokai appeared who warned the woman, but the woman could finish them all with one hit. The scene moves to Ushio's school. It looks like Ushio is living his normal life again. He became the object of ridicule in class because Shigure told them that Ushio had not been to school all this time because he had vomited dirt from his mouth. When Ushio came home from school with Tora, Asako, and Muko, they saw a boy named Inasa Kiryu watching an ant. But there came a truck that almost hit the boy. Luckily, Ushio managed to help him, and it turned out that the boy recognized Ushio. Arriving at the house, Ushio was confused because the boy came to his house with his yokai named Kuin. He introduced himself as the heir to the Holy Spear. The scene shifted to Shigure, who was reporting the incident in Aishikawa to the second-generation Oyakume. Oyakume said that during the 400 years she lived, the appearance of the spear heir was the happiest thing in her life and she really wanted to meet Ushio. Then evil energy appeared above the sky and a large yokai appeared, which was said to be the incarnation of Hakumen no Mono. On the other hand, Ushio and Kiryu are having a disagreement because Kiryu said that his weapon is called Ozar's Scythe and his yokai is stronger than Ushio's. Tora was angry because he felt humiliated until he fought with Kuin. A moment later, Shigure came to ask for Ushio's help because Hakumen no Mono's incarnation had appeared at their shrine. Kiryu also wanted to go with all of them. Meanwhile, the great monk at the temple ordered all the monks to use the crescent moon technique to temporarily lock Hakumen no Mono's movement. When Shigure and Ushio arrived, the great monk ordered them to meet with Oyakume. Shigure takes Ushio to the place of the second-generation Oyakume who still has blood relations with his mother. After Ushio met Oyakume, they immediately looked familiar and chatted. Soon there was a tremor caused by Hakumen no Mono's incarnation. Kiryu, who was already on the shrine's roof, said that they were his party. He asked Kuin to meet Tora so that no one would disturb him. Kuin went to meet Tora and tied his body. On the other hand, Ushio is seen preparing to attack Hakumen no Mono's incarnation, but his attacks always fail. Then, Hakumen no Mono's incarnation was able to break free and return the crescent moon attack to the monks. He immediately attacked Ushio, who had transformed into a human, but Ushio was protected by someone's Kekai. It turns out that the Kekai belongs to the second generation Oyakume named Hizaki Mikado, who is the most wanted person by the Gamins. Hakumen no Mono's incarnation attacks again, but Mikado's Kekai is very strong. Mikado said that if she only faced Hakumen no Mono's incarnation, she couldn't possibly lose. Then she took all her strength to attack Hakumen no Mono's incarnation until he turned to stone, then Mikado fainted. Ushio approached Mikado, then Kiryu came and slashed Hakumen no Mono's incarnation to shreds. Kiryu's goal in doing this was to show off to everyone present. Because his task was done, Kuin immediately left Tora, and they would fight again at another time. Ushio blames himself for being weak, so Mikado sacrifices herself to help him. But Mikado said that all of this was fate. She advised that Ushio and all the monks should work together against Hakumen no Mono, after which she breathed her last. Kiryu told everyone there that the one who defeated Hakumen no Mono's incarnation was him. He said they didn't need the spear anymore while there was Ozar's scythe. But Kiryu's words were ignored by the people there because the monks were grieving. Kiryu then complained about it to a woman who he called Mama. The woman looks like the woman who picked up the red cloth on the mountain earlier. The woman gave her a red cloth to destroy Ushio's holy spear. The next day, Ushio still looks sad and blames himself for Mikado's death. Tora said he would eat Ushio when he was weak, so they both fought. Tora taunts Ushio that if there is no spear, then he is nothing. Hearing that, Ushio felt angry and hit Tora. Then Tora said that he would return after Ushio became stronger and he left. Meanwhile, at the Kohame Shrine, the young monks are losing faith in Ushio and the Holy Spear due to the previous incident because of Kiryu's incitement. Kiryu told them he was raised by a male ex-monk at Kohame Shrine. It seemed that Kiryu was currently carrying on the man's wish. On the other hand, Ushio is visited by Kiryu and the failed spear heir candidate. They immobilized Ushio so they could retrieve the spear. At this time, the young monks were supporting Kiryu. Kiryu wanted the spear to be destroyed and replaced with Ozar's sickle, which could be mass-produced and could be used by many, while the spear couldn't be used by everyone and chose the heir. At this point, the senior monk still wouldn't listen to Kiryu's words, so he had to snatch the spear from Ushio's hands. Ushio went berserk until he could be separated from the Kekai. Ushio fought against the young monks while Kiryu took out his red cloth and managed to snatch the holy spear. He made Ushio unable to move with the power of the full moon, and he left. On the other hand, Tora, who was alone, accidentally met Akiba, who was about to meet Ushio. Akiba was suspicious of Kiryu, who would do evil to Ushio. Meanwhile, Ushio was freed by Shikemori. Arriving at Ushio's place, Akiba and Tora saw the marks of a fight there. They thought that Ushio was kidnapped by Kiryu, so they went to look for his whereabouts. Meanwhile, at the Kohame Shrine, the monks are experiencing divisions. The senior monks were facing the young monks' doubts about the power of the Holy Spear. Soon Ushio and Shikemori came to the shrine. Ushio immediately asked where Kiryu had taken the spear. The great monk said there used to be a monk named Inasa who was skilled at making holy weapons to make his own holy spear. However, Inasa thinks that his spear is stronger than the holy spear, so he learns magic to make a strong weapon. Inasa became the subject of gossip from the monks because he had deviated from Buddhist teachings, but he was still convinced that they no longer needed the holy spear, so he was expelled from the Kohame Shrine. After a long absence, 2 years ago, Inasa appeared again carrying a boy named Kiryu. At that time, Kiryu already had a high spiritual power that made the monks interested in recruiting him as a potential heir to the spear. But the great monk regretted everything because, at that time, they only judged Kiryu by his strength. The great monk tells Ushio that Kiryu's hideout is in a building called the Whispering House. It turned out that Akiba and Tora had arrived at the Whispering House. The two were immediately greeted by a group of strange creatures created from research and hated humans very much. Tora and Akiba immediately attacked and annihilated the creature. Then they both saw that a large number of Ozar's scythes were there. Meanwhile, Ushio and Shikemori had just arrived. Tora said that all the scythe weapons were trash, and there was no way they could defeat Hakumen no Mono. Akiba agreed and asked why Kiryu's scythe looked tremendous and different from the one in the house. Then they found a room, and there was a human skull there. It turned out that the skull was Inasa, and beside the skull was a piece of paper with the woman written. Meanwhile, Ushio and Shikemori had just entered the house. They think the building was once an orphanage. Shikemori accidentally finds Inasa's diary, which says that he has succeeded in creating a powerful creature named Kuin. After creating Kuin, he created another creature called Materia. It turns out that Inasa also creates holy weapons, but he always fails to make them, until one day came a woman named Tuako who could use magic. The two created Ozar's scythe, which was so powerful that Tuako created it in large numbers. Inasa once asked why Tuako wanted to help him. She answered because she was afraid of Hakumen no Mono. The reason for making the scythe was because the holy spear wouldn't be able to fight Hakumen no Mono alone. However, because the Kohame monks don't want to understand and don't want to admit Ozaru's scythe, Tawako wants to destroy the holy spear. After reading the diary, Ushio and Shikemori rushed to find the spear. When the two of them ran, they accidentally met Tora and Akiba. Tora and Akiba turned out to be being attacked by a robot-shaped creature while in Inasa's room. Shikemori is suspicious of why the room should be guarded, then tells Ushio to continue reading Inasa's diary to reveal the secret. Finally, they find out that the creature created by Inasa is Kiryu. Tawako created Kiryu from a kidnapped baby, and since then, Inasa has been afraid of the cruel Tawako. Kiryu and the young monks were getting ready to destroy the spear in another room. Shikemori and Akiba told Ushio to quickly find the holy spear while they would restrain the robot. When Ushio and Tora headed for the room, Queen blocked them both until a fight ensued, and Tora was immobile. Queen continued to speak while bad-mouthing Ushio and praising Kiryu better than Ushio. Hearing this, Tora was angry. When Ushio tries to free Tora, Queen attacks Ushio so Tora can break free. While attacking Queen, Tora asked if Kiryu had ever fought a yokai alone without a weapon, if he had ever risked his life for his friends. Queen answered never. Then Tora said then Ushio was the stronger one. Tora didn't even know why he was annoyed when Queen insulted Ushio. He then fought with Queen and told Ushio to keep looking for the spear. Ushio went into a room already waiting for Kiryu and the young monks holding Elsa's scythe. There was some music coming from Tawako, then she started to dispel the spear by dunking it in hot liquid. The monks asked who the woman beside Kiryu was, to which he replied that she was his mama who told him how to get rid of the spear. Unbeknownst to them, Shigure was already in the room as well. Shigure said that this was a ploy by Hakumen no Mono to destroy the holy spear. He immediately attacked Tawako, who was the incarnation of Hakumen no Mono. Upon seeing the woman's transformation, the monks realized they had helped Hakumen no Mono destroy the spear. Kiryu looks surprised when he finds out that his mama is the incarnation of Hakumen no Mono. Tawako said she had been taking care of Kiryu all along just to help her carry out this plan. Then she attacked Kiryu until he fell. Tawako attacked Ushio until he bounced into the hot liquid, which was now frozen. Then Giryu's face popped out of the liquid and asked if Ushio wanted to fight with him. When Ushio was about to take the spear, Tawako attacked him and pulled him away from the spear. But with the determination of Giryu and Ushio, the spear finally came towards Ushio itself. Then Ushio stabbed Tawako with the spear. Tawako summoned the robots who had captured Shikemori and Akiba. She even threatens to kill them if Ushio moves. Shikemori tells Ushio how to defeat the robot, which he must erase the letter E that is written on the head. Ushio says he will stop attacking and Tawako can kill him, but when Tawako tries to kill Ushio, it turns out that Ushio tricked her. Ushio held her attack and then jumped at the robot to remove the letter E so the robot was destroyed instantly. Now Shikemori and Akiba can be freed from the robot's grip. Tawako, who was hit by the explosion, became weak and tried to instigate Kiryu by asking for his help. Kiryu obeyed Tawako and immediately attacked Ushio. Seeing Ushio fighting, Tawako tried to run away, but Shigure restrained her with his keke, so she was very angry and tried to kill all the young monks. Seeing that, Kiryu became aware that Tawako was an evil being. He stabbed Tawako from behind until finally Tawako was destroyed. Ushio immediately slapped Kiryu on his cheek and woke him up. Ushio says that he needs Kiryu and the others to unite against Hakumen no Mono. Like Mikado's message, they must unite and work for hand in hand to defeat Hakumen no Mono. Kiryu and Queen then left the place. This is the end of Ushio and Tora Part 5. After the incident with Kiryu, Ushio and Tora's adventures continue. Tora then took Mayuko away to the building's ground floor. There, Mayuko saw a wedding dress she had always wanted, but because she loves Asako, she is willing to succumb to her. Mayuko then plays with Tora and makes him the groom. When Tora was asked to swear to love Mayuko forever, the two yokai attacked them again. They both changed to their original forms, which are snake and frog yokai. Tora tried to attack them, but their combined strength overwhelmed him until Tora and Mayuko went into hiding. Tora planned to change himself into Mayuko and split up and managed to separate the two yokai. Taira chased Mayuko into the elevator, but it turned out to be Tora in disguise and immediately attacked Taira, while Nodoka successfully surrounded the original Mayuko. Nodoka asked Mayuko to answer his question again. Then Taira, who was fighting with Tora, fell into that place. Taira asks Nodoka for help, but he doesn't care, so Taira dies at Tora's hands. When Tora asked him to leave immediately, Mayuko helped a man who almost fell, and the people there helped him. Nodoka secretly catches Mayuko from behind so Tora cannot release the power of lightning and fire because he fears hurting Mayuko. Nodoka was also interested in Mayuko. At that time, Nodoka found the answer to his question all this time. Humans are creatures who care about others and don't even care about their own lives, unlike Nodoka, who doesn't care about Taira. Tora then attacks Nodoka and saves Mayuko. Tora immediately took Mayuko to Ushio's house, but Ushio misunderstood Tora, making Mayuko unconscious. Tora immediately said to Mayuko that he would keep the bride's promise earlier. Mayuko also said that she had started to like Tora. The next day Tora and Ushio fight again until Asako arrives and separates them both. Asako invites Ushio to go to school together without them knowing 3 male scientists are spying on them. While Ushio and Asako were walking, a boxcar came and tried to kidnap Ushio and the spear. Ushio then fought them all and amazed the 3 scientists because he could fight them without using the spear. Ushio asked Asako to call Shigure while he would face them alone. After Asako leaves, the scientists shoot Ushio with drugs. The scene moves to a building where Shigure meets Atsuzawa. At that time, Atsuzawa had been appointed as a special force to kill the yokai, especially Hakumen no Mono, who would soon rise. Atsuzawa's arrival was to inform that the Hammer Institution had acted recklessly. Meanwhile, Asako, who was running, was caught by the scientists. Fortunately, Tora came and saved Asako. Ushio, who had woken up, was already in the car and met the 3 scientists from the Hammer Institution. They explained that Hammer's job was to create a weapon to defeat Hakumen no Mono. They meant to kidnap Ushio because they wanted to research the spear. Meanwhile, 3 containers visited Tora and Asako, who immediately took out special weapons to shoot yokai and managed to make Tora weak. They arrest Asako as a guarantee that Ushio will cooperate with them. Then Tora and Asako were taken to Hammer headquarters. Tora, who still had strength, tried to make a small explosion to distract them. He immediately made a copy of Asako, while the real Asako was told to run away, which they had already planned while on the trip earlier. Tora deliberately didn't fight back when the gun shot him. Actually, he could destroy it easily. He was deliberately brought to the place where Ushio was arrested. Tora gave a feather to Asako as a sign when she managed to find Ushio. Asako continues to look for Ushio until she enters a room with many yokai as research material. Asako saw a blue-haired girl from the Netherlands named Baldanders and tried to approach her. At first Baldanders was afraid, but after Asako gave her chocolate, she wanted to talk to Asako. While the researchers were examining Ushio's spear, they found the fragments of Hakumen no Mono's body. The shard was obtained when Ushio fought Tawako, who was Hakumen no Mono's incarnation. Baldanders said there is where scientists research the yokai. This angered Asako and she released Baldanders. Meanwhile, the scientists did not only study spears, and they then studied the spear users. Before long, the body of Hakumen no Mono that the scientists took turned into a monster that was present in front of Asako. Unexpectedly, Baldanders can also transform into a monster to help Asako. She was absorbed by the piece of Hakumen no Mono and Asako fled until she finally managed to find Ushio. It turned out that Hakumen no Mono's body pieces had absorbed all the yokai. The monsters were immune to attacks from the special weapons they made. Seeing this, the 3 scientists were happy because they thought their research had been successful until the monster came to the scientists' room and attacked them. Ushio came and stopped the attack of Hakumen no Mono's pieces. However, Hakumen no Mono's pieces can control all the yokai, so Ushio receives attacks from various directions. Ushio managed to destroy all the yokai, but when he was about to destroy Baldanders, Asako stopped him. Baldander's consciousness has not completely disappeared, and she asks Ushio to kill her instead of being controlled by Hakumen no Mono. Ushio, who didn't want to hurt Baldanders, was finally attacked and bounced off. Asako, who was hit by the rubble, asked the female scientist to help pull Tora's hair on her finger. After successfully releasing the feather, Tora came to attack Hakumen no Mono. However, Asako warns Tora not to attack Baldanders. Things got worse when gas leaked all over the room and the 3 scientists tried to escape and only cared about themselves. Tora was still fighting with Hakumen no Mono and managed to strike his leg. However, Hakumen no Mono could grow his legs into yokai legs, which he absorbed. When Tora is cornered, Ushio helps him fight Hakumen no Mono together. Meanwhile, the female scientist named Helena told Asako that it was still possible to defeat Hakumen no Mono. Their special weapons didn't work against him, but their weapons could definitely hit the yokai's legs. However, their current control room was already filled with poison gas, so only people who were willing to risk their lives could fire those weapons. Asako was willing to do it and asked to be taught to use it. Helena still left even though her 2 friends had forbidden her. While outside the building, Shigure, Atsuzawa and the special forces arrived at Hammer headquarters. Asako and Helena entered the control room because the main power went out, so Helena decided to use backup power. Tora, annoyed, then used his lightning power, but Hakumen no Mono could absorb the lightning. He then attacked and accidentally, one of his weapons penetrated the control room and injured Helena, so Asako had to act alone. Helena told her that her son died in the hospital as a child. She hopes that if her child is still alive and grows up, she will be brave like Ushio. Then Helena told Asako to fire her gun until Hakumen no Mono stopped. Seeing that opportunity, Ushio managed to get Baldanders out of Hakumen no Mono's body. However, a problem occurred because the backup electricity was not strong enough to be used by weapons, especially making Hakumen no Mono able to move again. But the current Tora and Ushio could fight without thinking about Baldander's body being confined, so they could slash Hakumen no Mono. Helena realizes that their strength comes from trusting and wanting to save people. Then they both manage to destroy Hakumen no Mono, but it turns out that he can regenerate his body. Helena decides to blow up the building to destroy it with Hakumen no Mono. Asako asked Helena out, but because her injuries were very serious, she chose to stay in the building while sending Hakumen no Mono's data to her friends. After Helena explained to Asako, Asako then wanted to leave Helena there, but because all the gas had filled the room, Asako and Ushio passed out, so Tora had to save them again. Meanwhile, Helena sends all the data to her friends so that scientists can create weapons to defeat Hakumen no Mono. Then the building exploded violently and Tora managed to get out in time, but when Ushio woke up, he saw Asako's body burning in flames. But what burned was only Asako's copy made of Tora's hair. The remaining two scientists delivered Helena's final message to Tora and Asako. She said it was nice to meet them both and apologized for everything she did. This is the end of Ushio and Tora Part 6. The moral that can be learned from this anime is that sometimes the strength in a person arises from trust and want to protect each other.